the things that have changed. I think women have changed because I think that we have kind of all realized that when we lose our estrogen in that 50-ish age range, we lose our give a shit. Like that's actually, like if you look at actually the medical studies that have been done, that very, very recently, Dr. Haver talks about this on Instagram a lot. All the menopause doctors on Instagram talk about this. The studies that have been done recently of middle-aged women, literally for the first time, did you know this? That before the last, let's say 5 years, all of the women's health studies that had ever been done never studied menopausal women. They only studied fertile women.
That's crazy.
Like as if fertile women were the only women that were vital to society.
This is definitely
so now
men's doing.
These don't get me started on that. So now these doctors who are all focused on the middle-aged woman, so to speak, I think we're all going to live longer than that, but these women that are 40, to 60, all these doctors that are focused on that in their various practice ranges have started commissioning studies. And these studies have literally shown that when we women reach the age of perimenopause and menopause and our estrogen drops and our hormones start changing, our give a shit literally leaves our body with the estrogen. It literally just seeps on out with our estrogen. And so I personally think you're seeing that in the divorce statistics, that women by society now have permission and societal freedom to get divorced. And they also have the acknowledgement that our bodies change in that midlife range, and the acknowledgement that not only does our give a shit leave our bodies, no longer do we have to give a shit. Like we can literally stop carrying the weight of everybody. Our kids are grown, like our husband's doing whatever the hell he's doing anyway, and we can just carry our own weight. And that's why I think you're seeing the increase in divorce stats for that, 50-ish. They call that gray divorce, but I mean, I don't know.
What does that even mean, gray
Well,
divorce?
that's a reference to age. That's a reference to being like older age. And I think if you look back in history, women who were 50 had, old lady hair and grandma hair and gray hair or whatever. I know that women that are in my age range, not that I'm 50, I'll never adopt that.
We're the same age as far as I'm concerned.
That's not my identity. But y'all can go look up my real age if you want to, but that's not my identity. But women who are in that 50-ish range that I know right now, they don't have gray hair and they don't look 50. So I don't know. But I think that it's a combination of those factors that, that societal acceptance of single women of a certain age, the family dynamics, the kids are grown and out of the house, the hormonal changes of the lack of give a shit. We're tired of carrying everybody's weight for them, and we now kind of have our own self-permission to put it down. We can put down the weight. The unfortunate reality of that is the other stat that you cited, which is that for women, statistically speaking, across the board, overall, women in that age range, what they call the gray divorce, the 50-ish divorce, women who get divorced in that age range, their standard of living decreases. Now, that's not just women in that age range. Women overall who get divorced, their standard of living decreases. Men are the ones that carry the standard of living in most traditional family units. And so when you split the assets in half and you can't afford to keep the house anymore, the wife usually can't afford because she's taken, think about what this looks like. The traditional family unit that this woman probably came from, statistically speaking, she's going to have been at some points in her life a stay-at-home mom. She's going to have taken career breaks for children. She may have taken career breaks to take care of elderly parents. She's going to have had setbacks in her own advancement of her own career, unless she was a career woman and had objectives and goals. She's going to have had setbacks in her own career that caused her not to advance the same way that a man did. So she's going to have not contributed to her own Social Security in that time frame. When you're a stay-at-home mom, the other thing you don't have is a retirement account. So, there's all these structural components that also contribute to the reduction of the standard of living. And then you split the assets, and maybe they weren't super good at collecting assets. Maybe they were spenders, or maybe they, took a lot of vacations, or, maybe she spent too much on clothes because she was depressed about being at home with whatever her life was. Or maybe the husband, liked to gamble. I mean, there's a million scenarios of that we could make up and dream up in our head.
And you've seen.
And I've seen, like in the keyboard warrior, make up their own scenarios. but like, there's a million scenarios of that, but what generally happens is, in a traditional family unit that we see in America, the husband continues to work and is the primary support system, and men make more than women, like women make less than men, statistically speaking, in America. And then women take career breaks, so they're set back even further. So it's just a structural component that's set against them. And then at 50, they're like, I don't even give a shit anymore because, number one, I don't have any estrogen to give a shit. Number two, the kids are grown. I don't have to give a shit. Number three, like, I don't even know why I married that man in the first place. I'm so tired of him. And number four, like, I don't give a shit that my standard of living is going to take a step back, because at least if I'm living in a 1-bedroom little apartment, it's mine.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to hear what your perspective is on, okay, so ideally in my life, like my goal would be to get married and to stay with her for the rest of my life, right? Like that's kind of my hope and desire. What do men not know about like the different stages of like a relationship as you age? Maybe the what you call the menopause?
Yeah, that's the doctors that have studied the menopausal women.
Like
yeah,
menopause.
They literally hashtag that on Instagram.
Yeah.
MENOPOSSE. Menopause.
That's hilarious.
It's all these female doctors that gathered together and said, we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. But what can...
And it's really amazing what they've done. They've lobbied Congress. They've lobbied the government. They've initiated new health studies for women of a certain age. Like, it is literally amazing. And there's doctors of every practice area. There's sexual health doctors who are out there talking about women of a certain age and their sexual health and the changes that happen to a woman's body down there because of the loss of estrogen and the changes that happen in our body that are normal and natural, but women don't talk about that. There's bone doctors that talk about bone health as a result of the loss of the hormones. There's obviously gynecologists, there's the weight loss doctors, and one of my weight loss doctor is one of the menopause.
Oh, really?
Dr. Solace Whalen. Shout out to Dr. Solace Whalen. I really, really, really want to interview her, and she said yes, but we just need to schedule it. But Dr. Solace Whalen just wrote a book called Weightless about the use of GLP-1s for weight loss. And she's also one of the menopause who has studied the weight loss drugs as it specifically relates to that middle-aged woman. Like all the different practice areas of doctors as it relates to the middle-aged woman, because that woman is not the same as a man. That woman is not the same as a woman of fertility years. That woman is structurally different in every single category, and that's what they've discovered, and it is fascinating.
No, I think that is super fascinating. Is there any lesson that maybe you can share young men that are going into these, till death do us part commitments about the version of the woman that they're with today may not be that same version because of it's literally a science?
So Emmanuel Acho actually has a video on Instagram where he kind of addresses the point I'm going to make about this. And he says that you never meet the same person twice, and that may be your spouse, because you're constantly going through things in life that change you. And, you can get divorced and then meet back up again and be completely different people, or you can stay married and go through life. And the shit you go through in life is going to make you a completely different person. So what I'd say to anybody in a marriage, but you asked me to speak to young men specifically, is that you don't give up in the hard times. Like marriage is not all about the good times. Marriage is not all about those first years, the first 5, 10 years, 5, 7 years, where like you're having sex, 7 days a week, or maybe you're having more sex than that. Shit, I don't know. But like, I mean, maybe you're really, really all about the bunny rabbits. But, like it's not all about the happy, good times where the sex is great and everything is on par and, the wavelengths are great and everything is 100% on all categories. Marriage actually is about the hard times. Like you really need to pick the person that you want to be with in the hard times, not the good times. Like I would almost go almost like from the cynical divorce lawyer, I would almost say the opposite. Like pick the person that you don't have good sex with. Like pick the person that you could go do a muddy buddy, run with. Like think of the worst thing you could go experience together as a dating couple and go do that thing, because it's not about the good sex. Marriage is not about the hearts and rainbows and unicorns and good sex. Marriage is about going through the hard shit of life and still being with somebody who's going to stand next to you through the hard shit. Because marriage ultimately is about the person who's going to wipe your ass when you can't wipe your ass for yourself. And that you can say, oh, all the keyboard, oh, that's graphic. Oh, that's terrible to say. Like, I don't even go to the bathroom in front of my spouse. I'm sorry. Like at some point in your life, you're going to have surgery. Your wife's going to have a baby. Like she's going to be split from this point to that point when she has a baby.
Yeah.
Like somebody's going to have to take care of her. Do you have the fortitude it takes to wipe your wife's ass? Do you? Like, is that the kind of relationship y'all have? Because if you don't get married. Don't get married. Like, because the hard times, that's what marriage is about. Like it's kind of like back in the day, old book, Everything I Knew About Life I Learned in Kindergarten. Hold hands and get through life together. That's what marriage is about. Like it's about the concept that we're all just walking each other home. It's about the concept of companionship through the hard times. The easy times, like you can get through good times and easy times with literally anybody. Like that's the good shit. It's the hard shit that you got to go through. And every marriage has hard shit. And the real test of a marriage is when you get to the hard shit, do you opt out? And I think that a lot of times, I'm not saying all times, like sometimes marriages need an opt out. Like sometimes you got to take the exit ramp. And I'm not here to judge anybody's exit ramp. Like that's everybody else's walk, not mine.
Yeah.
But to me, like my personal journey is the test of the marriage is when you get to the hard times and you have the option of the exit ramp, do you still work through it? Both of you. I'm not saying one of you. It takes both. Do you both still work through the hard shit and rededicate yourself to the hard shit? Or does one of you opt out?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a fascinating conversation. Tommy and I, way back when, we're talking about how you go through challenges, or what's the best way to manufacture a challenge early in a relationship to put yourself through this test.
Is it the Muddy Buddy Run? Is that what they call it?
The Muddy Buddy Run. I was curious if you had other examples.
I don't know. I have to think of it.
Because when you're courting somebody, it is like, it is through the guise of like, hey, let's go on a vacation, or let's go to a nice fancy dinner. Or when you're getting to know somebody in the beginning stages, it is all positive, like fun experiences generally. But is there a way to go through that to see kind of that challenge? Like, what does that even look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to be authentic, right? You have to show you can't do that early in a relationship, but like there's got to be a time in the relationship where you actually kind of let that guard down and show your authenticity. And there's many ways you could do it. Like you could go on one of these like a working vacation kind of thing. Like you go to the farm and you work at a farm for a vacation. Like that's not much of a vacation, but like literally you go do something hard together.
Yeah.
Like what is hard? Like is hard rock climbing. You put yourself intentionally in a situation that's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard. You're going to see the test of how each of you responds when shit gets real and shit gets hard, And that's where you want to be before you decide if you're going to commit your life to this person, And there's a lot of ways like that you can do that. If you're not an active person, maybe that's not your gig. Maybe you go, kind of create a scenario that's like the clothed version of Naked and Afraid or something, go drop yourself in some remote area and camp out for a week, go camping for a week or something. That wouldn't be my thing. I'm a little bougie for that.
I'm a glamper too myself.
But, manufacture a hard scenario that you have to get through together. I mean, another example of people that they do it now, and it gives me claustrophobia to think about, is the, where you go in the room and you have to escape rooms.
Escape room, yeah.
Like another example is like escape rooms. Like it's a very micro example, but for me, it would cause me claustrophobia and I would freak out, but an escape room would be one of those examples. It's a high pressure, high stress. Like another one, haunted houses. Haunted houses, like think about that. I do not do haunted houses because I don't really believe in like exposing myself to the negativity of that. I don't do scary movies either. But the same concept, right? Like if you buy into the concept of haunted houses, like what do you do when you're afraid? What do you do when you're scared? Is the man gonna like punch somebody that jumps out and scares the woman? Like, well, that needs some thought process to go into it, right? Because there's a good side of that, like he's gonna defend your honor. The bad side of that, he's gonna defend it with violence, not so good. So like, any of those hard kind of situations where you're autonomically reacting creates kind of that pressurized situation that then translates to 20 or 30 years into the marriage and life gets hard.
Oh yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I want to talk about some splits, celebrity splits. More recently, Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe separated after a decade. They had a whole video about it. So when you see celebrity divorce announcements, Michelle, the joint Instagram statement with like all love and respect language, what do you read between the lines? Like, how does that land on you?
Yeah, when I see these celebrities that get divorced and they have, the rehearsed lines and the little video and like perform for the cameras, I see lawyers. Like I see the lawyers off the cameras. I see the written agreements, the settlements, the maybe the prenups. I see all the things that are going on off camera that result in that PR moment. That's what I see with the celebrity divorce.
Are celebrity relationships just doomed to fail? Is there any is it possible for them to be successful?
I don't think they're doomed for failure. I think celebrity relationships, they have some tough parts about them because celebrities are so much in the limelight that it does create some extra hurdles, I think, for celebrities. But that's for celebrities in general. And not necessarily just Hollywood celebrities. I mean, politicians are that way, rock stars, athletes, like all celebrities that are in the limelight have that additional hurdle of having the world kind of judge what's going on with them. But I think that relationships are still relationships. You're committed or you're not. You're going to be in that deal or you're not. And the celebrity status is just a different type of pressure. And there's plenty of examples of celebrities that have long-term marriages. We just don't hear about them.
Facts. Okay. Quickly on this article, older women are in demand by younger men. It's a New York Times.
I literally hate that title.
Yeah, that's good.
No. Like, I want to know, do we know who wrote that article? I guess women wrote it.
Yeah.
Nope. There's a man on there. There's a man on there.
There?
I'm presuming he's a man, but I'm making a presumption there. But I would bet money that a man wrote that headline.
The editor, potentially. Yeah.
I want to know who wrote the headline. New York Times needs to comment and tell me who wrote the headline on that article. Go back to the article, Tommy.
What is it about the headline that you don't like?
Older women are in demand by younger men. That headline is saying that younger men are getting to do the choosing and that it's not the older women doing the choosing. How do we know that? Maybe the older women are saying, I choose younger men.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you about that. So in the last 2 years, dating apps are reporting a 64% jump in young men exclusively seeking older women.
But are they seeking it or are the women choosing it?
So it's both, right? So for what feels like the first time, women walking out of long marriages get to ask, what do I want, instead of what's the relationship I have to have? Is this women finally choosing from strength, or just the market catching up to something you've already watched happen in private for 30 years?
I mean, I am assuming, because I think the article sounds like it's written from a particular perspective and bias and using particular word choices that are common in the media, that they choose word choices that give a perspective on the article. Here's what I think about it. I think that we're in a time where women have the option to choose and the sexual freedom to be free. And if you're a 50-year-old woman who is not married and is single and ready to mingle, and you have a libido, I mean, go find you a younger man that matches you. Like, go match your energy. Good for you. We have sexual freedom. Women should have the same sexual freedom that men have had for literally as long as we've been a society. Men choose younger women all day long. We don't, I mean, some of us judge it, but as a society, we don't really judge the older men with the younger women. Like, that's almost expected. But yet we're sitting here in this article, we're saying we're judging women. We're saying the young men are the ones choosing the older women. We're saying that the younger men are seeking out the older women. Are they? Like, I want to know what the underlying research is on this to know if that's the case. Or are the older women saying, like, I want good sex and 50-year-old men aren't giving it to me, so I want some younger men who are going to have good sex. Like, we have sexual freedom. Like, is it a choice that I would make in that situation? First of all, I'm not in that situation, so I don't know. But I'm not going to judge women who want to, like, have an active sex life, who have an active social life, and who have a young man that wants to participate in that. Now, the article also talks about young men seeking out older women as a method of support. Mm-hmm. Now, on the one hand, hasn't the opposite gendered situation like that been a norm for a while? You know, older men have sought out younger women and supported them for a while in society. Yeah. So that's been a thing. Don't necessarily agree with that from a young woman perspective. I think the young women ought to have their own method of making money, not dependent on men.
So talk about that. Talk about sugar daddies and or sugar babies and that whole concept of young women who find these older men and that money dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. To me, it's not a gendered question. Yeah. You know, to me, we all ought to have our own method of making money. Like, be financially independent. Period. Full stop. Because whether you're a young, now it just happens to apply more to young women because the young woman could get pregnant. And the statistic is that the number one, you ready for this one? The number one factor in poverty for women. You ready? Motherhood. Like, So for young women, if you don't have an education, you don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, you don't have a thing that you're going to do and a plan for how you're going to support yourself, if your plan is a sugar daddy that's going to pay for you, I have news for you, you're going to get older. And if he's the kind of guy that looks for the young woman to support and look pretty on his arm, he's going to trade you in. I mean, I wish that weren't true, but I mean, we're being real here, right? Yep. So you're asking me about the opposite situation of the older woman and the younger man. Hey, I'm all for it. Like, men have been doing it for years. It's time for women to have the opportunity too. Like, if there's single women out there who have the money and want a sugar
baby,
dude, a sugar dude.
Yeah, sugar
I'm not
dude.
going to call him a baby. No, sir.
actually
No
don't-
babies.
I don't know what
That's
the-
weird. That's
what the
calling them
phrase
babies
is.
is a little perverted.
That is weird. Yeah.
I know it's a thing. I know that's a term, but
Yeah.
it's still perverted.
Yeah.
If we're going to have a sugar dude, like, that's great. Good for you. Go into it eyes wide open, knowing what you're getting on both ends of that, like both ends of the spectrum. But everybody really ought to have their own way of making money and be independent and support themselves and pay their own car payments. That's my opinion.
Boom.